All right, guys, this is Dr. Surasingh again. So now we are going to talk about the writing assignment that you are going to initiate based on the symmetry data, right, and the symmetry lab. Now, at the end of chapter 7, there is a handout. Okay, there is actually a worksheet, but you might have noticed that I did not mention anything regarding the worksheet when I introduced the lab to you, nor does my Blackboard page tell you anything about submitting this, nor does the syllabus mention anything about submitting the human demography worksheet, because we have replaced the human demography worksheet with this writing activity as a major assignment of the lab. So on page 71 to 72, you will find the human demography worksheet. So you are not required to submit it, right? It's not part of a graded assignment. Instead, we are going to kind of convert that assignment into a short, interesting writing activity. So today's goal in this particular presentation is to take you over the first part of that writing assignment. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have done so far regarding this overall writing job. You already have started this. Remember when you read the paper on the outline on Wood et al. With respect to chimp demography, and you did the outline? Well, that's actually the first activity. Now that part is already done. We are moving to the phase 2. So today we have already introduced you to the lab activity, how to collect data and what to do with that data, right? So the very first thing you are going to do, even before you collect data, even before you submit that data to me, is actually based on the hypothesis I introduced to you. Develop a hypothesis, develop a prediction, and develop a rationale. We explained all of that in great detail, right? So now what you are going to do is actually, write a very short draft reflecting on those aspects, right? So that's what we are going to do right over here, right? And this is due next week. And then after that, we will actually analyze your data, right? And then make you submit that particular component, right? And again, you will be submitting your data to me as well. Okay, and just these are some props for you to kind of get familiar with the job of scientific writing. So you have already done this part, right? You have already read a particular article, you outlined it, so that part is already done. The next part is actually this, right? So in order to develop a good hypothesis, in order to develop rationales for those hypotheses and to develop the background, we need to search literature. We need to dig into literature, right? So that's the part what I'm going to go over today. So there are many ways to do that. You might have been trained to use Maxwell libraries, different search engines to do this job, but I'm going to show you something much more quick and easy, where you can use Google Scholar to extract information, right? To look for literature related to your hypothesis, right? And there is a Maxwell library toolbar. Like if you go to the Maxwell library online, you can get this, but the way I'm going to show you is much easier, much faster, much efficient, and you can use it for many other schoolwork that is coming up in your rest of the school career, right? So once you read literature, there are different ways you can actually keep a log of what you do. I mean, it could be anything. I'm not going to force you or police you how you actually keep track of what you read. I'm going to give you several ways of doing it. What I do is actually I keep an electronic log. Like when I read literature for my research, I keep an electronic log. I sometimes copy and paste tables out of what I read into my log. I keep written sentences, like of that particular log. And in certain folks, what they do is they print it, they underline, they actually make notes on the side of the paper. So there are many ways when people read, they keep track of what they read. So it's up to you, like how do you function the best? How do you keep retain information when you read? you can do whichever the way that works best for you. And sometimes, some folks just read it and retain in their head, right? And in certain occasions, I have done that when I don't have enough time to keep a detailed log. But my personal experience recommendation is electronically or handwritten, keep a log of what you read, right? Mention the reference of the article, and underneath that, don't write more than a page, right? Write less than a page of what you gathered from it, right? What are the most critical information you gathered from it? You can write in full sentences, in bullet points. You can copy and paste sentences. So you can copy and paste certain figures and tables, whatever you deem important, right? You can copy and paste entire paragraphs. Sometimes you can do that, but I don't know whether that's useful to do. But it's up to you, bottom line, up to you how you keep track of information. But please do find a way to keep track of the information that you read. That's really important when you start citing. Okay. So, and also remember, right, when you jump into this particular step, right, look back at the Wood et al. Paper you read, right, and remember how they actually cite information as they go by, right? So you are supposed to do the same in this particular activity, right? So you are supposed to first, you think about a hypothesis, right? And I gave you several ideas for that particular hypothesis, right? And then based on that hypothesis, right, you actually develop a background information set, right? An introduction section of this particular paper, right? So before any of that, you start with your hypothesis, because how you structure your background, what kind of keyword you look for your literature search depends on your hypothesis, right? Everything centers around your hypothesis, right? So and so the things to remember is you will require to cite papers that you read, and also try to understand the difference between primary literature and secondary literature. I will actually cover all of those as well in subsequent components of today's lecture. So now the first job, right, with respect to the lab that we introduced you today, is writing the background section, introduction section related to the hypothesis, right? So, and this is due next week, right? And alongside the introduction / background information, right, you will also write your method section. Now, writing the method section is relatively easy. How to do it is already described in your lab manual, right? So when you write the methods part, there are several things I want you to remember, right? You're writing in first person, you're doing it yourself, so I, right? Although you might do the data collection with a friend, it's not we, it's I, because you're writing your own paper, right? And it has to be in past tense, first person, past tense, right? I visited cemetery X and Y on these days. I collected data on this. I collected data on X number of tombstones, X number of headstones. I recorded data on sex, year of birth, year of death. I calculated age at death. I tallied these age classes, like that. When you report your methods, write it in first person, active voice, past tense, not in the introduction form. Don't write in the third person. Don't write in the future tense, right? This is something you have to write it as if you have already done it. In reality, right, you would when you finalize the write-up, right, you will have collected the data. So first person, past tense, active voice, right, not passive voice, not third person. Okay. So now next what we are going to do is, rather than I need to go over the structure of the introduction, structure of the methods part. I will reinforce these things. Let's pay a visit to Google Scholar and let me show you how to effectively collect information and store them using Google Scholar and connecting Maxwell library in. Okay, so I'm in Google Scholar, right? And what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to log in to Google Scholar using my BSU account, right? So look at over here, I'm looking at my BSU account. I am logging in, right? And you might have to, first time when you do, you might have to enter your credentials, enter the same password that you use for accessing email, right? And now, how do I connect my BSU Maxwell library links, right? So if what you need to do is look at this particular three lines at my left hand corner, click on that, and then I'm going to go to settings. Under settings, click library links, right? That's the third option from the top. Now what you see is when I log in automatically with my BSU account, right, it automatically links my all my library subscriptions, right, to Google Scholar. So what happens over here is, you know that Maxwell library, our library, actually owns have purchased many indexes, many journals, right? So in this way, right, you're automatically connecting all of these, right? So if these didn't show up, all I want you to do is actually type Maxwell, right, in that search box and hit search, right? It will produce the same things, right? So select all three of these. Open World Catalog is actually a global thing, and then also check BSU Maxwell Library and Bridgewater State University. Check all of those and hit save. Right now, let's do a search. Yeah, let's look at human demography. Right, it's just a random search term. It's not good. That don't use that search term yourself. It will not provide you any useful information. Right, so now what you can see is, if you look at this particular link, look what's happening over here. This particular link, right, if you click on that, find it at BSU, it will first ask you to log on to Maxwell library, right, and then it will ask you to dig into that particular link, right? And then what I can do is, well, I wanted this particular article. I'm going to copy that particular article, paste it over here, and hit search, right? And see, look at the very first thing came up, right? It's actually giving me the entire article that I wanted to read, right? So entire article is given to me, right? So and you can actually even download it, print it, save it to Google Drive, save it to OneDrive, the BSU OneDrive. So you can do all the sort of things, right? Let's go backward over here. Let's see what else we can do over here. And sometimes, the other links also appear. Let me click that particular link. It actually should still recognize BSU. And if I click this PDF, it will give me the same article in a PDF format. Right now I can save it wherever I want. All right, let's go back. Look at this double arrow. I'm going to click it, right? And then I'm going to click this link. It says Find IT at Maxwell BSU. Let's see what happens when you click that. And sometimes these links could be broken, so just be patient if that is the case. See, it actually gave me direct access to that article, right, which comes in a PDF. And I personally like reading out of the PDF. I can easily save it like that, right? And right, I can save it easily wherever I want, right? And read it subsequently, right? So either use this particular link. It's a little bit harder to get to the actual article with that link, but seems like the bottom link over here, Find it at BSU, Maxwell BSU, is an easier way to find or access directly the article without going through multiple hoops. Let's try another one. Yeah, same here. I can easily get to the same article, right? Let me go back over here and let's try another. Right. Yeah, so this is an interesting situation. The university does not have access to that particular article, as you can see, right? Yeah, it doesn't give me a link directly, so it seems like it may not have. So it not have access to that particular article directly. Seems like it should have. Seems like it actually is referring to, like look at the catalog, read the catalog, but most of this time when this happens, we don't have that particular article, right? Let's just click this one for fun and see if we actually have any chance of getting to that article. Nope, seems like we do not have it. So what would you do when you don't have access to that article directly, like in that case? Well, let's see, by clicking that one. Yeah, so in that case, go back and click the other BSU link, right? If you couldn't get through that one. See what I did? I couldn't get it from this one. From the find it in Maxwell, I clicked find it at BSU. Right now, click that, interlibrary loan. Right now, this interlibrary loan is free. All you have to do is first log in, right, and then some of the information regarding the article you request is partly filled in. Make sure everything is full. Make sure the title is correct, the authorships are correct, article name is correct, the year is mentioned, the inclusive pages are correct, and once you're done with everything, like, hit submit, right? And this is free of charge, guys, right? So within a couple of days, what happens is you will get an email from the university library when they found the article, right? And what you have to do is you will log back, right, to interlibrary loan, and what you will do is it actually will show up as electronically received articles. If you look at over here under view, second option is electronically received article. If you click that, any article that you receive that you requested through interlibrary loan will appear over here, and you can see 3 of the articles that I request myself are over here. So interlibrary loan is free, right? So do not pay for articles out of your pocket. Use interlibrary loan. It is free and it is very fast and it is very effective. Okay, use that. And if you want to use interlibrary loan directly, what you can do is you can first go to intranet, and then you can go to Maxwell library over here, right? And then look for the interlibrary loan link. So in the library homepage, go to services, scroll down to this interlibrary loan, right? And then click log into interlibrary loan, right? Use your usual credentials, and then go to new request, right? And then like if it is an article, click article, right? So articles, all of those will be sent to you electronically. Book chapters will be sent to you electronically. If you request a book, they will send the entire book, which you will have to return within a certain period of time, right? And again, when you place the request, right, after a couple of days, you will receive an email, and then when you follow that email instruction, log in back to interlibrary loan, go to the electronically received articles and download the article that you received. It's easy as that. It is fun as that. Now, let's go back to where we were, right? Let's close all of those. So you know how to use interlibrary loan, you know how to connect all library interfaces, right? And how to access the full article. So let's learn about a couple of other benefits over here. So how would you keep a certain number of literature citations? Well, easy. First of all, what I do is I will create a empty Word doc or empty Google doc, right? And then I will go to my article list. Let's say I'm interested in this article, right? How do I make a copy of a citation very quickly? That's an easier way. Can you see this double quote symbol? Click that, and it actually automatically generates different citations, right? Different citation styles. So just copy one of these, right? Randomly copy one of these. I just copy the Vancouver one. Well, maybe Vancouver is the most ideal thing to copy over here. I believe the APA format is closer to the scientific formats that we adopt, right? Copy it, go to my Word document, paste, right? Save, and then let's go back to another. I like this article. Same thing, go over there, copy the APA format, right? Voila, right? So like that, it's extremely easy to actually collect list of citations. Now remember, we are not accepting APA formats, right? Now, what format do we require you to format your citations? If you look at chapter 6 in your lab manual, right, it actually tells you, and if you scroll to page 56, right, that actually details how to write a lab manual. Sorry, how to write a bibliography or a reference section, right? So use this copied and pasted citations, convert them into the format that we require as mentioned in chapter 6, right? And now since these are already formatted, it's extremely easy to convert these into the scientific formats we require for your bibliography, right? For your literature cited section. What else can you do with Google Scholar? Let's say that you don't have time to read this quickly. We only have 5 minutes left for before the next online lecture. So what I would do is I would actually, can you see this little star, right? You can actually save a few articles to your library, right? And how do you access those back? Look at this link called My Library. Click that link. All the articles that you selected will appear there, right? Until you actually manually delete them, right? So what other things that I can show you over here? So how do you pick the best article to read, right? So I usually go by the number cited, right? Articles that are cited large number of times are actually quite good, right? And then and also let's say you could not access these links. The same paper is available in 19 different versions. You can actually click that link and you know, you might be able to access the same article from a different freely available version. What else can I tell you about this? So let's say you like this particular article. Do you want to read more articles like that? Click this particular link, related articles. It will actually show you several articles that parallels the article you liked, right? And let's say that you figured that this, you know, like this paper you liked it very much, and you kind of think, this particular author seem to be actually, you know, write papers along this particular theme, which is largely true, right? We scientists, when we write, we actually write papers on the same topic. So if you click that particular link, right, you can actually read all the papers that guy read, right? And then even access those papers from this particular page, right? If you click, for example, that one, it should go to the journal page with the full paper. So it's going to take a little while, and I don't like waiting. Yeah, here we go. You can even download that as a PDF. So Google Scholar is a great resource for you to collect literature, to store literature, and to keep track of literature, right? So I strongly encourage you to use Google Scholar from this point onwards. And if you connect that to your BSU link, right, automatically that will connect all the BSU purchased indexes, right? The entire Maxwell library right now is connected to your Google Scholar search engine, right? You don't have to manually go to every index and search separately. You don't have to use the Maxwell library toolbar anymore, right? This is much faster, much efficient. Okay. Now, I think that sums up how to use Google Scholar, right? Now about the keywords you use, that depends on what kind of hypothesis you are interested in, right? So you can actually change your keywords now. Let's say you were interested in that, right? You were interested in cardiovascular diseases between males and females. So you can search based on that, right? And then even on human demography, what if you are interested in changes in human demography, historic changes, right? You can actually look for that, right? And then so this is actually really interesting. It came up with historic sampling, but for gorilla populations. You know, it's not a bad idea to read about other primates. It's not a bad idea to cite from other primates, because you know, we are not just primates. You know, gorillas and us, we are actually, you know, apes, right? So when you do literature search, if you were to come up with a particular article on human demography related to another ape, do not hesitate to use those logic. Do not hesitate to read it. Do not hesitate to get that ideas from that particular paper, right? What else? Yeah, and then okay, historic versus modern human demography. Let's see whether we get, yeah. So yeah, you actually get quite interesting articles as you change your keywords, right? So try different set of keywords based on the hypothesis and the rationale that you came up with, right? And my point I want to mention is, you know, if you know, as I wanted to relate your hypothesis towards medical sciences, towards health, you will not have a hard time finding literature, okay? Be patient and like invest enough time. This is a writing activity. Don't start on the day it is due. If you do, you are fucked already, right? So start early. This activity will be extremely easy to do. So I'm going to finish up over here on my tutorial on how to use Google Scholar effectively, and next I will just reiterate certain very important points regarding how to structure the introduction section, hypothesis, how to write that part, and the methods part, right? We briefly covered those in my previous week, right? When we talk about the writing activity, we will revisit those ideas in a little bit more detail to help you out.